Gym Makers presents the Beyond Brilliant broadcast, where we empower ladies and leaders to shine in their brilliant zone. Join your hosts, Dr. Nicole Steele and Dr. Dee Parker, as they share their secrets to help you gain clarity, build confidence, and unleash your courage. If you're ready to get connected, gain insight, spark your creativity, be inspired, and embrace your brilliance, grab a pen and a friend, and let's get started. Welcome to another episode of Beyond Brilliant, where we empower ladies and leaders to find the clarity, confidence, and courage to shine in their brilliant zone. My name is Dr. Deon Parker, and I'm the Courage Catalyst, and I'm that hand on your back, honey, that pushes you out of your comfort zone all the way into your courage zone. I am joined by the ever so lovely Dr. Nicole Steele. Hey, girl, hey.
Hey. Hello, I am Dr. Nicole Steele, the confidence coach, and I am that voice in your ear reminding you of who and whose you are.
Yes, you are.
Oh, my sister, Dr. D, I tell you, we have the pleasure with this episode, which we have entitled Level Up. This woman of God that will be joining us today has helped us do just that in our business. So can you have the honors and introduce our Beyond Brilliant broadcast family to our special guest?
I would love to do the honors. Faye Ugokwe. She's taught me how to say her name properly. Has been rocking with me for the last, Faye, has it been, my gosh, the last couple of years, right?
It has been indeed a blessed couple of years indeed.
Oh
Wonderful.
My gosh. And I'm telling you, she took me and my brand and leveled me all the way up. She was like, yeah, look, sis, we got to do some things. We're going to dust off your brand. We're going to get it together. I have had the pleasure of rocking with her. She has captured my voice. She has been all over my social. If you've read anything in my social, she is the wonderful woman behind it, that brand. She has taken Dr. Nicole and I and took our strategy and blew life into our strategy and took us through, we sat down in her class. And so we get the honor of introducing you all to her. And the way that we want to do that is to say, first of all, welcome, sis. You are amazing.
Thank you.
It is such an honor to share you with our viewing audience and for them to grab a pen, y'all, and a friend, because she's going to be dropping some gems. I brought my gym bag today. Because I already know every time we get together, we're on the phone for hours. So,
Absolutely.
Hours.
Listen, dropping tea, and for me, it's dropping jokes as well. I'm a big comedian, so.
That she is. So, Faye, without further ado, tell us about who you are and your journey to get to the person that you are today.
Well, my name is Faye Ugokwe, JD. I'm an attorney by background. I come from an interesting family. My mother was originally from British Guyana in South America. And my father was from Nigeria, West Africa. My father, unfortunately, died tragically when I was a young girl. So really my development was because of my mother and her mother. My grandmother was a school teacher married to a cop who became a police chief. So my grandmother helped raise me from the ages of 3 to 18 while my mom was in school. My mom became a cardiologist, and so did her brother. My mom practiced in Texas for over 20 some years. Basically almost 30 years. And my uncle was in Naples, Florida. And sadly, they both died within 7 years of each other in 2007 and 2014, respectively. So I lost him first, and then I took care of my mom for 2 years. They both had cancer. And I took care of her, and she passed in 2014. So I've been this person who I have a legal background. I'm an author. But I also have a science background, and I was always very gifted in sciences, much like my mom and my uncle. And it just so happened that, and there's this God story behind my creating of my brand, but I happened into the social media verse when it was young. And here I am. I was obedient, finally, to answer the call that goes in with the story of how I created the brand. And now I help women, particularly, with their brands, not only the brand of itself, but the business. Some people need legal consulting and issues, regarding that. There's social media, other aspects of a digital presence, like podcasts and, television networks like this. So whatever it is I can do. And I'm also an author. I've been reading and writing since the age of 3. My grandma taught me. So, I have some published books out there, more on the way. And so when it comes to writing, I'm also able to capture the voice of the people who hire me. So that's me in a nutshell. And of course, there's always a God story because, we're all godly people, right? So there's always something that brought us to the table. But that's me in a nut. I'm not a nut, but that's me in a nut.
I love that.
How about that?
Love how I know your story. I know the backgrounds, and it is so amazing. And I love how it shaped who you are as your brand. And so when she talks about capturing your voice, and truly the essence of who you are, we're going to get into that in just a few minutes, but she really does that. And so it surprised me sometimes, when I go out there to my social media, I'm like, did I write that? Did I write that? Did she post that? Because you do such a wonderful job of capturing your client's voice.
Thank you.
We're going to get into just who your audience is and how you go about doing that. So we want to talk a little bit about the meaning of your organization, your company, Pink Purse International Brand. And I know we're going to be going to a break in just a few minutes, but I don't know if this will do it justice, because I know we've got 30 seconds to do that. But you start us off with just telling us what's the meaning behind that, and then we'll take a quick break and come back.
Okay. So before the break, I'll preface this by saying that my brand came to be around New Year's of 2010. So we have an epidemic right now of COVID. And in 2009, we had an epidemic of H1N1, which is swine flu. And I was in Texas. My mom was practicing cardiology in Texas. And swine flu hit a variety of places within the states as well as Mexico, but it really hit certain states very hard, and Texas is one of them. And because I didn't slow down when God wanted me to, he slowed me down with swine flu. And that's the beginning of the story, really. God brought me to the idea of Pink Purse International. During the Christmas season, I was running around getting my Starbucks and shopping, and we were expecting a family member to come in from out of town. And I was so full of that whirlwind. And you know how you go shopping and you go home temporarily just to drop everything down and go out again? I did that. And when I was at home, this thing came to me, a spiritual feeling, and it said Pink Purse International in my spirit. And I quickly went online and looked it up, and it didn't exist, Pink Purse International. And I thought, well, I don't know what that was. And since I'm an author, ideas come to me all the time. So I thought, well, I really don't know what it is, and I really don't have time. I have to get another Starbucks when I get out there and continue my shopping. Kind of like, I feel that's the Holy Spirit, but really, Holy Spirit, it's just not timely for me at this juncture. And so I ran around doing my thing. And that was the end of that. I thought that was Christmas. It turned out the guest didn't come. So all that running around I did, kind of for nothing except for the gifts. And I wasn't taking care of myself either. I wasn't taking my vitamins or anything to build up my immunity during that time period. And I really should have. I was scheduled to go to a friend's house on New Year's Eve who was going to have a party, New Year's Eve party. She was my dentist and a good friend. She was also, her father was also a physician, and he was one of my mom's colleagues and also one of his patients. So I knew this woman very well, and her festive parties are always full of joy and peace, and, it was going to be a great time. But I was feeling a little draggy, a little exhausted. So I decided, I got all dressed up in my dress and my heels, and I decided I was just going to lay down for a little bit, and I fell asleep. And when I woke up, it was New Year's Day. And it was well past New Year's Day. It was in the morning. And I couldn't believe I'd never done something like that before, which is to fall asleep and miss New Year's. And I still felt horrible, but I decided, I'm going to shake it off, and I'm going to just, get dressed and, into normal clothes, and I'm going to go out and try to run some errands and make the most of this New Year's Day. And do you know what? I went out, was running around trying to run errands, but I kept declining, just going down, down, feeling not good, and worse and worse and worse. And I looked up at the clock in the town square, and it said noon. And I knew then I was going to be very, very ill.
So we're going to have to pause right there. That's a cliffhanger, y'all.
The cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger. So that means you're going to come back after the break and hear the rest of how this beautiful vessel became who she is today and her brand. So go get a pen and a friend, and we'll be right back. Are you looking to start that new business, create new strategies, or stretch beyond where you are right now? Well, look no further. Gym Makers LLC is a coaching and consulting company committed to empowering ladies, leaders, and little girls. We're committed to providing insight and innovative resources that exceed today's normal standards, and to help you gain the clarity, confidence, and courage you need to shine in your brilliant zone. Through our creative content, coaching, conferences, and brilliant community, we'll help you develop the necessary skills to not only achieve your goals, but to sustain them. If you're ready to go after your big dreams, accomplish your big goals, and soar to the next level, contact the Gym Makers team today and let us help you get there. Welcome back. Now, right before the break, you heard our incredible guest, Faye, oh my goodness, who was telling us the story behind her brand, Pink Purse International. We left you with a cliffhanger, but we will now resume and allow her to just continue, because I'm waiting for the rest of the story. Faye, would you please continue to bless us with how you came up with the Pink Purse International?
Oh, certainly. So there I was in the town square, just ill. And it's noon, absolutely noon. And I remember the day was really hot, as Texas days can get in wintertime. And the sun was really high. And I just knew, I was just declining in health. And I was afraid of passing out amongst strangers, basically. At that point, I just felt like that's what was going to happen. So I decided I need to drive myself back home, back to my mom's house, and to get there as quickly as possible. Because if anything happened, although she was at work, at least, I was in a safe zone. It was harrowing to drive back to the house. It really was. Like, I was afraid of hitting people. I was just declining. And only God and his angels drove me back home that day. And when I got home, I passed out on the bed, and I knew just it was going to be a rough ride. My mother is the one who diagnosed me first with swine flu. And it's kind of hilarious when she did that. She came home really early one morning, and I always used to stay up waiting for her, just out of courtesy. I loved her so much. And always, you want to make sure your loved ones arrive home safe no matter what time they come in. And the nature of her job, 3 o'clock was not unheard of. But it had taken over my lungs, that swine flu. So my breathing was heavy, everything was occluded. And she was searching for leftovers in the fridge, and her back was to me. And all of a sudden she said, "I think you have swine flu. I can hear the crud on your lungs." and I just breathed a sigh of relief. In a sense, I didn't want to be sick with that business, but at least we knew what it was. She said, "Until further notice, I'm putting you upstairs in quarantine for the safety of myself and my patients. Thank you for your cooperation." She's hilarious. I miss her. And so I was very relieved, and upstairs I went. Now, mind you, this is all in the New Year's Day corridor. I got really sick. To make a long story short, I was sick for 6 months, And it took an extra 6 months just to recover from that. There is a long haul syndrome that's attached to swine flu. So people who are having long haul symptoms with COVID right now, there was a similar one with that. Now, during that time, I had these I always throw high fevers whenever I become ill. And one morning I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Something woke me up and pulled me up out of bed. And I was so weak. Part of swine flu is muscle aches and pains, high fever, the occlusion of your lungs, like you have a pneumonia. It was just bad. And it pulled me halfway out of bed, basically. And I saw an angel wing across from my bed forming on the wall, a huge angel wing. And it kept filling in all the segments of the feathers. And something pressed into the middle of my chest, pink, purse, international, like slow this time. So if you remember, I'd heard it in my spirit when I was running around trying to do Christmas shopping, but I didn't pay much attention to it other than looking online to see if it existed. Now this time I was made ill, so I had no place to go. And this time I got a vision with it, but also very slowly now in the middle of my chest, like this is your mission, in the middle of where my heart is, pink, purse, international. And all I could do, I was so sick, I went, okay. And then sank back in the bed, like, I'm obedient now, I get it.
Wow.
Yes. And then the very next few hours, basically, because this is like 3 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and I realized, okay, well, I have to do something about it. And I don't know what to do. I'm very ill. I can't leave the house. What am I supposed to do? So I went online, just searching and surfing, trying to figure out what I could do. I knew it didn't exist because of, a few, days before, right? That it doesn't exist, something I have to create. It's a business God wants me to create. But now the question is, what type of business? And I found that there was a podcasting platform called Blog Talk Radio. And at the time, podcasting was in its infancy. This was the beginning of the podcast experience in 2010. I mean, we're talking about January 2010. But I realized that's something I'm supposed to do. I'd always wanted to be a journalist, and I thought, okay, let's start there. And it ended up with me creating a podcast, a tandem blog, and also a tandem internet for women. It was on Ning, and we talked about Ning, I know privately with you ladies. And at the time, Ning was like creating your own Facebook for your own group. So your group could have all these bells and whistles attached to a Facebook experience that was just for them. Just for your group. And I started creating social media accounts everywhere. Instagram didn't exist at the time, but I was on Facebook, just everywhere I could get my hands on. LinkedIn. I started a group on LinkedIn that was separate from my individual profile. I mean, I did everything. And Pink Purse International was born. And it was at a great time because two things were happening at that time. Swine flu was knocking people out, and so they couldn't go out. Business people couldn't go out to network the way they used to. But also, if you remember, 2009 and 2010 were part of the Great Recession. So, worldwide as well as domestically, there are lots of people who all of a sudden found themselves financially strapped,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And one of the first things that happened was I used to do a lot of extensive networking in Texas. I mean, if there was a Chamber of Commerce event, I was at it. If there was a Leeds event, I was at it. And I learned quickly just from all the news reports online and on television upstairs. We had some television room upstairs there where I was in quarantine because of my mother, that, a lot of people were cutting their marketing budgets. And so that's the first thing that would go is their marketing. So all that networking they used to do, et cetera. So I realized, okay, God is calling me to create a way for women to be able to network with each other online and to get gems of wisdom to help them. So even if they had to cut their networking budget, they can still generate a presence, and how to navigate this new technical age. They need to do two things. One is to be able to network free, basically for free. And also how to navigate the technical age, how to learn how to create a footprint where none existed. It seemed to me that all the big corporations, they learned how to create a digital footprint, but the smaller businesses were not getting that memo And so they were missing out on opportunities. So really, Pink Person International was born out of eventual obedience
I love it.
to God. Yes.
I don't love that you were sick, to
No,
get it,
but
but I do love that the story that leads up to your obedience, because
mhm.
we wouldn't have you had you not been in that position. Can you talk to us about something? I mean, super important that you mentioned, talking about the era that we were in when you birthed your brand, Pink Purse International. Um, Women's voices have always been important, right?
Mhm.
And they're even more important today,
Mhm.
especially in this time after, I mean, we've seen a pandemic, we've gone through all sorts of things. How do we as women amplify our voices through branding today?
Well, I always say that first and foremost, it's really important to try to hire a competent professional to assist you in branding. You know, you are the person who is on a mission. I believe that the missions that we have in this life are predetermined before we come to this world, and that they're God given specifically. So, your job as the person who has, quote unquote, the business idea, which is really the mission, one of your missions that you're supposed to fulfill on this earth, your job is to determine what kind of business you think you're supposed to be in, right? And who you believe that you're sent to help through your business. But that may be the extent of what your job is. There's some people who are great at DIY, who have other skills and talents and gifts, but you have to know where your gifts begin and where they leave off. And I really do believe in determining that, listen, you have an operating budget just like any other corporation, and you're going to dedicate some of that budget to people who are going to assist you in making sure your business is the best that it could possibly be.
Mm.
My mom and I, when my mom built her house there in Texas, there was you get this mail when you first, get your house, whether you rent a new home or build a home, whatever it is, when you move into a new place, you get all this mail, right? People selling their services to you. And one of the cards that came in the mail was for a housekeeping service to clean your house. And it said that if you are cleaning your own house, you are the most overpriced maid there is. And
Like,
my mom and I loved that, because they literally were like, take how much you make, per hour, and realize that that is overpriced. We're going to do that so much cheaper. And it also went on to say, and also, since we know what we're doing, right, we're really going to maximize that time very well. And I like to use that example for social media and branding and digital services, all the things that I provide and other people who are like me in this industry. Don't do everything yourself. Determine, listen, I'm going to price out within my budget who I think is going to be able to assist me, and also make sure that person knows what they're doing. You want to talk to that person ahead of time. And then that's going to be their job. And your job is going to be to run the business. Your job is going to be to come up with the great ideas. I also help with brand strategy too, for people who may not have all the ideas, for their business, because that happens. Sometimes you are too in your business to
say that
see,
again.
to be able to, right? It's, sometimes you're just too close to it. So your vision is limited. And it takes someone who's outside of it to say, okay, these are the things you can do, this, to maximize your revenue, your impact in the industry, to get other side opportunities that you may be seeking, that are outside of what you offer, all of those things. But the short answer here is to make sure the first way to amplify is to hire someone to help you. It really is so important. And you keep your thinking hat on as regards, what am I honoring the mission? What is my mission? Am I honoring it? And what else can I do with my mission? And realizing the cap on this pen is much like I lost my mother in 2014. She always used to say, tomorrow is not promised. That's from the Bible. Tomorrow is not promised. So you really want to get up and running as quickly as you can, with your business, with your brand, and that only hiring someone can really help you to do that in speed, so you can get on with providing the mission, the services that you're meant to provide, you're missioned to provide.
So that is a great segue. I know this is a two-part series, and if there are any listeners out there, any people in our viewing audience who this word that this brilliant and beautiful woman is placing into the atmosphere, if you are in this space and you know that, hey, I could use some help. I'm a business person. I might be a business person that's going to the next level, and you need some help. Faye, how can listeners get in touch with you and take advantage of your services? I know during the next segment, we're going to be going deep, and you're going to be sharing some tips and some of the common mistakes that business owners make. But if there's anyone who says, I don't need to hear anymore right now, I need to sign up with Faye, how can they get in touch with you?
Very easy. Thankfully, I'm on LinkedIn. So you can always message me on LinkedIn, Faye Ugokwe JD, so Fey, and then Ugokwe, and then I think actually there I'm Esquire, so ESQ. And then on Instagram, you can message me, hop into my DMs. It's a good hop into my DMs. People don't always hop into your DMs for good reasons, but this is a good reason to hop in. And I'm there. I'm at Faye Ugokwe-esque there. So Fey Ugokwe and you can also hit me up on Twitter. On Twitter, I'm at PinkPurseIntel. So PinkPurseIntl. So you can always message me there. To me, it's much easier for you to contact me through those apps because I'm able to, we're able to have an exchange over the app and then take it to the next level, email and calling, etc. So we can have a consultation and I can assess what your needs are. But, really tip before we get into the next segment, if you're not on LinkedIn, you really should be. At the very least, you should be able to hit me up on LinkedIn. Perfect place to be. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's what I'm here for, to help you with that. But, be on LinkedIn. Every business has to be there.
Thank you so much, Faye. We're going to come back on this next segment. Y'all, I'm just telling y'all need to hit her up because she is taking my social to a whole nother level. And I am still rocking with her. So we will see you next time on the next Beyond Brilliant. And we always like to leave you with this. Be bold.
Be brave.
And be
brilliant.
For more information, show ideas, or to be a guest on our show, please visit www.beyondbrilliantbroadcast.com.